Welcome to My Favorite Bitch, where we talk openly about the good, the bad, and the oh my fucking god ugly of raising dogs, and sometimes other non-canine pets, including the human ones. We might talk about poop, and we might swear, so fair warning. Thanks for joining the pack. Now let's get this ball rolling. For a game of fetch, of course. Welcome to My Favorite Bitch, the podcast where we talk openly about the good, the bad, and the holy shit ugly of raising dogs and sometimes other pets. We're going to have other pets on here as well. Maybe cats or snakes. We're going to talk about raising those as well, but mostly dogs because I have a dog. We'll talk about that in a moment. Hi, everybody. I'm Beth Ann Campbell. And today, on this very first episode of My Favorite Bitch, I'm going to talk a little bit about what the podcast is about and what it's not about, and a little bit about myself and what's driving me to do this crazy podcast about dogs when there are probably about a bazillion other podcasts out there about dogs. Well, you know what? Sometimes it's just about passion, but we'll talk about that in a second. So let's get started. What is My Favorite Bitch? What is this podcast about? Well, it's mainly real talk about raising pets. And what do I mean by that? I mean, real talk, I mean, we're not experts. I'm not an expert. I'm not a veterinarian. I'm not a trainer. Other than I have a dog and I have raised dogs, but I'm not formally clinically trained. I have a lot of friends, family, coworkers, my network who have dogs and other pets. And we talk a lot about our pets. We post a lot about our pets on social media. God knows I do. My dog has her own Instagram site. Yes, she does. Don't judge. And I follow a lot of Facebook groups, training groups, just dog support groups. And a lot of people are struggling. You know, they're doing everything that the experts say. You know, I followed your exact directions. I'm not getting the same results. They're getting puppy blues and depression as I did with my own little monster. They're frustrated. They're confused. They have a lot of anger. Sometimes there's lack of support, and there's all the good things in too. How much we love our pets and how funny they are and all the cool things that they do and how much they enrich our lives. And all of these things are things that I engage in conversation with a lot of people about, my friends, family, etc. And I'm going to have a lot of those people on this show because frankly speaking, people, I don't like doing podcasts by myself. It's not that I don't like talking. Clearly I do, but I love more when I have that interaction and we can talk about, and you're going to get tired of hearing about my dog Moxie. Well, you probably won't because she's adorable, but you might. So we definitely want to get a lot of other people in here as some temporary co-hosts or honorary guests. So this show, in a nutshell, is about sharing those stories about our dogs, our cats, our other pets, unfiltered, without any program or training or protocol or agenda. This is just real people talking about what it's like to own a dog or a pet. We're going to talk about poop. We're going to talk about hairballs. We're going to talk about misbehavior. And if it isn't apparent from the title, I do swear. So you should know probably right now that this is not a kid's show. I will drop F-bombs. I'll drop one right now. I will say fuck. I will at least once, probably a dozen times. So if those are the kinds of things that make you uncomfortable, or if you just prefer to have somebody who's clinically trained tell you about the world of owning a dog or pets, no harm, no foul. I respect that. Maybe this is not the podcast for you. But if you want to get into the gritty details of dog ownership and other pet wonders, and you don't mind if someone says fuck, it's number 2, now and then keep listening and maybe you'll find something in this. What is this podcast not? So that's what it is. Real talk about pet ownership from an untrained individual who says fuck a lot. 3. What is this podcast not? It is not expert training advice, although we will give feedback. We will talk a lot about what's worked for us, what's not worked for us when we've trained our dogs. It's not expert veterinarian or medical advice. So please, we'll talk about things that we've done, but please consult your professionals. Go to talk to your vet if you have a question about, how your dog is choking or your dog just got bit by a bee. That happened to me once. Don't ask us that. We'll always defer to the professionals. We're not here to judge. Mostly. We will get a little catty. Yes, I did just say that. But we're going to talk about things that might be a little controversial, like getting puppies from a breeder versus adopting, and things like prong collars and rawhides and correction versus reward, and pet owner depression. So, and we won't get it all right. So this is not a show about perfection. In fact, I rely on all of you, and I encourage you to be my fact checkers. So if I do get a fact wrong, please let me know. So that's what it's not. So who am I? Well, my name is Beth Ann Campbell. By day, I work in the corporate world as a manager in technology. Off hours, I am a published author. I wrote a book called Where the Hell is My Bacon? I've got a couple other ones in the works. I'm a podcaster. I have another active podcast right now called Cafe Grit, where I talk about corporate life and corporate bullshit, finding fulfillment, leadership, good and bad. So, check that out if you want. But there are some commonalities here in my passion for doing both of these podcasts. So I'm a dog mom. So I've already referred to my little demon angel, Moxie. Her name is Moxie Blue Yule. She's a silver Labrador retriever, not a Weimaraner. Thank you. She was born on Christmas Day, 2021. And as of the recording of this episode, she's just about 4 months old, full of piss and vinegar, and smart as a whip, and totally adorable. And she's snoring behind me. So you may pick up some Moxie Blue on this podcast. And if you're watching on video, if she wakes up, you may catch a glimmer of the ghost of Moxie. It's not a small elephant. It's a silver Labrador. And I live with my husband in Virginia in the US, and I'm originally from the state of Michigan. I'm a Michigander true and true, although got tired of the cold. So I went south, and now probably want to go even more south. So that's who I am. Why am I doing this podcast? What drives me? What compelled me to just say, you know what? I want to do a podcast about dogs. And there's already a million of them out there. So, hey, why not? Well, several things drive me where I really find passion. I get a lot of passion hearing people talking about things that make me feel better about something that I'm going through. So sometimes we can't fix things. Some things aren't going right, but often it's comforting to know that we're not alone. And that drives a lot of what I do in my other world, in my corporate world, in my corporate podcasting, and some of my social media posts. Sometimes it's not about fixing things, or it's not just about fixing things. It's about just knowing, oh, yeah, that happens to me too. Like puppy depression. I had no idea that there was such a thing until I got a puppy, and all of a sudden I'm feeling kind of depressed and for the first month, and I'm having meltdowns, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Oh, it's called puppy blues, and it's a real thing, and people have it. So it made me feel really good to know that I wasn't just going nuts, or that I wasn't just a total loser, unable to cope fully with having a new puppy in the house. Secondly, honesty about what it's like to really own and raise a pet, especially a dog. There's so much bullshit out there. It's unbelievable. A lot of stuff on social media. You see stuff on TV about these perfect dogs. People have made a whole empire out of pets, and that's great. But it takes a lot of work to get to that point. I watch a lot of videos, and I have watched a lot of videos with trainers, veterinarians, people who do this for a living, and it looks so easy. These people are walking around and they're having these dogs trained in like minutes. I'm like, why is that not happening for me? Well, because I have a day job, because I'm not a trained trainer, because I don't do this, other than sleeping my entire day. So I like a little bit of honesty. All of that stuff is great, by the way. I'm not here to knock the professionals. We need those professionals. But what we need to do is take it to the next level, to what the professionals tell us. And then when we apply that, when does it not work? When does the situation, what are the anomalies? What doesn't work? When is it getting a little wonky for me? And then what do I do about it? Can I do anything about it? And the other thing that drives me is I love to share stories about my pets, and I love to hear stories from other people about their pets, those beasts who live with us day after day. Because let's face it, we love them, we hate them, they frustrate us, they excite us, they make our hearts sing. I mean, I mourn for my pets sometimes worse than I mourn for some of my family members. I raised a chocolate lab and a rescue mutt for 13 years, lost them, one of them just before the pandemic and one of them during the pandemic. And I didn't think I would get another one. In addition to the logical piece of it, right? I was looking forward to a clean house and not having hair everywhere and not worrying all the time and not having guilt, even when they were well taken care of. But I didn't know if I was going to get over that kind of grief. I mourned more for my pets and longer for my pets than I did for my mom or my brother. And that's not to say that I don't love my mom and my brother deeply and would give anything to have them back, but it's wholly different when you spend every day with a person or a pet and then you lose them. It's different. So we didn't think we were going to get another pet, but it did not turn out that way. I had a hole in my heart that really just wouldn't go away. And after I got through, it was a year and a half, and then we started thinking, and I'll admit I'm the one who kind of pushed, although my husband sending me all of the lab videos from Instagram did not help. And I really wanted to get a lab puppy. So just because our first one, her name was Ripley, she was just so perfect. And so it just so happened that I was looking at rescue sites and well-researched breeders and found one. Timing was right. Brought Moxie home on a very cold and snowy and sleety and gross day in February. And for the first 3 or 4 weeks, I thought I was going batshit crazy. Again, this thing called puppy blues that I didn't even know was a thing, depression, frustration. Why can't I get this? I'm a successful woman. I can do it. I've had a successful career. I've got a good marriage. I've been on a health journey and I've lost a ton of weight. I can do all that. Why can't I raise a puppy? It's a fucking puppy. I'm going to talk a lot about that on the next episode, about what it was like bringing her home and how wholly unprepared I was. But I realized that in talking to other people and following a lot of these groups and forums, that a lot of people are going through the same exact thing. And it does help me to hear somebody say, yeah, I did everything right. I followed the rules, and still my dog or puppy misbehaved, or they're nipping at my calves, or what do I do now? Because that's how I felt. So that's why I'm doing this. I want you to laugh. I want you to cry. I want you to relate to the stories that we'll be bringing you, because you've been there or you are there. So that's really what this podcast, My Favorite Bitch, is all about. And by the way, just because it's my favorite bitch doesn't mean we don't talk about boy dogs and boy pets too. It's just mine happens to be a girl dog. So, and I like to swear. So, I want to put it out there up front. So when people hear the title, they don't think, oh, like a family friendly dog show. I can put this on in the car with my kids. No, please don't fucking do that. So anyway, that's what we're about. Thank you so much. I really hope that I hear from you on your good, bad, ugly stories of pet raising. And hey, maybe you can come on as a guest. So stay tuned after I sign off for how to get in touch. But until next time, always remember, you are a badass. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Take it easy. Thank you for joining My Favorite Bitch, where we don't hold back about what it's like to raise that little fucker of a pet. We hope you had fun. I'm your host, Beth Ann Campbell, and you can reach me on Instagram or Facebook as TheBean67. That's TheBeann67. And also on Instagram as Moxie Blue Yule. That's my dog's site. She insisted. I'm also on LinkedIn as Beth Ann Campbell. That's Ann with an E. And check out my YouTube channel, Beth Ann Campbell, where you can find this podcast and other fun videos on the playlist My Favorite Bitch. Remember, we are not trained dog professionals in any way, so please consult the real experts and do your research on anything you hear on this program. We barely know what we're doing. Now go give your pet some snuggles, and we'll catch you after a good nap and some tasty treats. My Favorite Bitch is produced by Beth Ann Campbell and is a product of Beth Ann Campbell, LLC. All rights reserved. Go fetch Moxie. Good girl.